the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them! Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness!
The year is 1996. A young student by the name of Grant Wall graduates from Princeton University with a Bachelor of Arts in Politics. Not long after, he would take an internship at a newspaper company called Miami Herald, gaining experience in the journaling field, and later landed a job at Sports Illustrated in November of the same year. Working as a fact checker by the end of the year 2000, that work earned him a promotion to senior writer. He was a person who mainly covered stories related to soccer, but dabbled on a few other sports here and there. It wasn't until 2 years later, on the day of February 18th, 2002, where he would write a cover story about a 17-year-old phenom taking over the world of basketball, and gave him the title, Chosen One.
I was living in Seattle in those days and covering college basketball. And I pitched my editor, Greg Kelly, on, I think it might be time to do a story on this kid, LeBron James, who had a really good ABCD camp the previous summer and was being talked about as a high school junior as not just the best player in America at his age, but a guy who, I remember Danny Ainge, who was a GM of the Celtics, telling me for that story, like, there are only 2 or 3 players in the NBA right now that I would not trade for this high school junior, LeBron James. And I don't think the internet was in the same place it is today. So it did kind of feel like you were introducing this kid, LeBron James, to the country by putting him on the cover of the magazine. And so I remember telling LeBron, like, your life's gonna change because of this.
Put a lot of smiles back on the people's faces in Cleveland.
The 6'6" superstar from Akron, St. Vincent, St. Mary's has captured the attention of fans, scouts, and opponents.
He's an all-around great player. He has it all, definitely. He's very athletic. He has a lot of poise. He can do almost everything.
LeBron James has got the full package. I saw him this summer. There's nothing he can't do on the basketball court. He's got a unique understanding of the game. He's very athletic. He can shoot it. He can handle it as well. There's no question he's going to be a great player, and he's really the best high school player I've ever seen.
This was a guy who, despite being only 17 years old, gained so much popularity that his team could no longer play at their home gym. Instead,
the team can no longer play here in its own gym. It's too small. They now play their home games at the University of Akron, where the capacity is about 6,000.
A guy who had so much buzz around his name, NBA All-Stars like Shaq, Kobe, Allen Iverson came to his high school game to see him play. A guy who, at the age of 18 years old, was offered $10 million by Reebok, under the condition that he would not speak with Nike or Adidas. He turned down the offer and later signed a $90 million deal with Nike.
Dan, in those 3 weeks, the most impressive thing to me has been that the closer we've looked, the better this guy appears.
Well, everybody knew who he was. He was already famous. He was bigger than all of us in the gym. So he's coming into the gym. I'm like, all right, cool, I want to see what he got. And he was cooking. Like, he was 15 or 16, posting, getting to the basket. And I'm like, this is going to be a huge issue. Right. And for sure it was.
3 more years, huh?
3 more years, he right there. He actually motivated. When I saw that, it motivated me. I'm like, I got to go to work.
With one state title already to his credit, James's resolute pursuit of excellence could very easily lead to 4 state championships.
I think you're going to see one of the greatest players ever to play in the state of Ohio.
So you believe NBA potential without a doubt?
No question.
LeBron, how much pressure do you have before day one? I mean, we got this $90 million shoe deal. How much pressure do you have to make day one?
We all know who LeBron James is. The 4-time NBA champion, 4-time Finals MVP.
By just doing what I know how to do.
the player with the most points ever in NBA history, the guy who had one of the greatest comeback and playoff performances to date.
There's no pressure. There's no pressure at all. I've been getting pressure since I was 10 years old. I don't think there's no pressure for me because I'm doing something that I love to do. That's play the game of basketball.
And a guy who nowadays is more known as the Sunshine Guy.
My only sunshine.
But before all of this, before he reached the NBA, way before he was given the title King and regarded as arguably one of the greatest players of all time, he was just a kid from Akron.
LeBron James.
A kid who made a name for himself early on that scouts and fans all over the world came to the same conclusion. He was different. I mean, at 16 years old, he was 6'8", athletic, had the vision and passing instinct of a guard, could handle the ball really well, read defenses, control the pace of the game, and was a great leader who was extremely mature for his age. Before he ever played a single minute in the NBA, he was already seen as the one who would save the Cavs franchise. He was framed up to be the solution. To many, he wasn't just talented. He was believed to be chosen, destined for greatness before he ever had the chance to choose it himself. We all know what followed after high school. The impressive career he had, the accolades and achievements he reached, the longevity, and the moments that cemented his place in history. His journey is one of the clearest modern examples of the chosen one story. It's the kind of story that gets you inspired, hyped, and is a story that asks a timeless question. What happens when someone carries destiny on their back and somehow still manages to outrun it? Today's video is simple. You probably have an idea of what we're talking about. Chosen ones. Some of my favorite stories of those in real life and in fiction who was given that title and either lived up to the legacy placed upon them or failed before they can reach it.
Hello? Hey, it's Marty Mauser. I'm in the Royal Suite. Well, I never talked to an actual movie star. You know, I'm something of a performer too.
Are you?
Yeah, you don't believe me?
You
what? What? You got the Daily Mail in front of you?
This is you?
Yeah, the chosen one. It's a nice picture, right?
The Chosen One archetype is one of the oldest story engines we have. In its simplest form, the trope is built around the idea of destiny. It centers on a character who is singled out by prophecy, fate, or a higher power to play a big role in the future, and the role is usually given before the character has proven themselves. This type of story isn't something new. It's a story that's appeared for years, across a plethora of entertainment, whether that be mythology, literature, animations, or film. Typically, the most common story of the Chosen One is marked as being special in some way. This means having a unique ability, being part of a rare lineage, or a symbolic sign that identifies them as different. Something that you also notice with these type of characters are that they start off as ordinary, but along the way, they come to represent hope, change, and inspire the people around them. Characters like Neo from The Matrix, Aang from Avatar: The Last Airbender, are characters who are chosen in some shape or form to save the world. The ones who are looked up to as a symbol of hope, and the ones people go to when situations are dire. There's a lot of characters that fit the classic Chosen One mold. Deku from My Hero, Ichigo, Naruto, Link, Superman, but the one that I always think of when it comes to a character that embodies the classic Chosen One role is none other than Harry Potter. Harry Potter is a fictional character and the central protagonist of the Harry Potter film and book series. He's a wizard who becomes famous in the wizarding world as the boy who lived, after surviving an attack by Voldemort as an infant. During this event, his parents were killed and Harry was left with a lightning-shaped scar on his forehead. At the start of the series, he's ordinary, but is constantly put into extraordinary circumstances. As he enters Hogwarts, it's later revealed that his survival is connected to Voldemort because of his prophecy, which means that Harry would eventually have to face him again in the future. If you've seen or read this story before, you'd quickly notice that it's not about being the strongest or being the most intelligent wizard, but about staying true to your morals. It's one of the main reasons why Harry was born to be in the Chosen One role. not because of destiny alone, but because of his choices to act in ways that are opposite to opposing values. Harry fits the chosen one archetype to a T. He fulfills destiny without being consumed by it, is chosen by prophecy, marked by a fate, morally grounded, willing to sacrifice himself at any time, and ultimately responsible for restoring balance. Outside of Harry, other characters that fit this mold are characters like Luke Skywalker, who again started out as being ordinary, but is later on pulled into a larger destiny tied to the fate of the world. Guided by his two mentors, Obi-Wan and Yoda, he learns that the deeper power within himself is tested through loss, temptations, and failure, and a prophecy-like belief surrounds him as the one who can restore balance. Then there's someone like Hal Jordan, or really any Green Lantern for that matter, who are chosen for their ability to overcome great fear, show courage, and have the willingness to be Earth protectors. There's many kinds of Chosen One stories. Some are chosen through bloodlines, others through omens, visions, or divine intervention. But not all Chosen Ones are told to the world. Some live in the shadow of their own destiny. Their existence, their purpose, their importance are not yet known. It's the kind of story that doesn't tell you much about the character. Instead, you find out as you go along, as you see them face challenges, and as you see moments of fate approaching upon them. There's a lot of characters that fit this description, but the one I come back to the most is the story of Perseus. Perseus is a hero from Greek mythology who was born as a demigod, someone who is the son of the god Zeus and the son of the mortal Danae. He's considered one of the most legendary heroes of ancient Greece. He's most famous for killing Medusa and rescuing a woman named Andromeda from a sea monster. The story goes like this. Danae's father, King Acrisius, was told in the prophecy that his grandson will one day kill him. To prevent this, Acrisius imprisons Danae, but Zeus visits her in the form of a golden shower. With the gold falling upon her skin, this will result in her getting pregnant, birthing Perseus and raising him in secret. Eventually, Acrisius would find out and would cast him away from his kingdom, placing the two in a wooden chest and sending them off to sea. They are rescued by a human fisherman named Dictys, who would take them in and raise Perseus as his own. Under the rule of King Polydactys, who was Dictys' brother, over time, he became obsessed with Danae and tried everything he can to gain her love. Nothing worked, and every time he tried, Perseus would be there to intervene. To get rid of Perseus, he came up with a plan, pretending to marry another woman and demanding gifts from the men on the island. Perseus, young and eager to prove himself, shouts that he can bring anything, even at one point claiming he could bring back the head of Medusa. Big mistake. Polydactys hears this and is like, alright, I'll hold you to that claim. Giving Perseus his first major test, slay Medusa and bring back her head as a gift. To succeed, Perseus receives help from the gods. Athena, goddess of wisdom, gives him a reflective shield to reflect Medusa's power. Hermes, the messenger god, provides him winged sandals to fly and a sword sharp enough to cut through gods. Hades grants him the helmet of darkness, a helmet that can temporarily turn him invisible. And lastly, he would go to the nymphs to receive an enchanted bag to place the head of Medusa. Perseus finally confronts Medusa. He uses the reflected shield to avoid her gaze, beheading her without being turned to stone. Upon cutting her head, two things would come out of her body: Pegasus, a winged horse, and Poseidon's child. Before anyone would notice, he would mount the winged horse and escape. But on his way back, he would see a girl chained to a rock by the sea. This girl would be Princess Andromeda, and she's been offered as a sacrifice to a sea monster. Struck by her beauty, Perseus would save her by slaying the monster Cetus and ask for her hand in marriage. Eventually, the two would get married, and upon returning home from his quest, he would find that things had gone very bad in his absence. King Polydactys, who had sent him on the quest, had been tormenting his mother and has been trying to force her into a marriage. Perseus confronted the king in his court, which turned into a huge brawl, but resulted in him using Medusa's head and turning Polydactys and his followers to stone. At this point, years have passed, and Perseus traveled to a place called Argos, hoping to reunite with his grandfather. However, in a random athletic competition, throwing a discus, it accidentally veers off course and strikes a man in the crowd. That man, coincidentally, would be his grandfather, Acrisius. That's a crazy way to fulfill a prophecy, not gonna lie. Perseus is the perfect example of a different type of chosen one. A chosen one that I like to call hidden. Someone whose destiny exists before it is revealed, whose importance emerges through trials. The killing of Medusa and the rescue of Andromeda all show his role as a hero. Because of this story, a lot of works took inspiration, one of which you've probably heard of before, Percy Jackson. Unlike the classic chosen one, this archetype of characters are often overlooked, an underdog, if you will. In anime, you got Naruto, who starts out as an outcast, with nobody realizing the immense power and destiny sealed within him. Po from Kung Fu Panda, who's chosen as a dragon warrior, despite being clumsy and inexperienced, with his significance emerging only through training and perseverance. From hidden chosen ones, we can naturally lead into those who are chosen by fate, but the stories lead to something dark. Unlike most of the heroes I have listed before, these characters struggle with the weight of prophecy, are sometimes consumed by the dark side, or the prophecy ending is so jarring that the character must do things they might regret in order to reach their goal. Tragic would be the best word I would use to describe these type of characters, mainly because their stories, despite being chosen, is not something that is rewarded, but rather something that could be considered a burden. A character like Paul Atreides from Dune, prophesied as Elisa al-Gaib, gains immense power but is haunted by visions and the destructive consequences of his actions. Anakin Skywalker, inspired by Paul, are a lot similar in the sense that he too is prophesied to bring balance to the Force, yet fear and attachment led him to drift into the dark side and become Darth Vader. Gojo shows how overwhelming power and expectations can isolate a chosen figure, while Guts from Berserk struggles under the weight of fate and the roles imposed on him, facing a destiny marked by relentless suffering and violence. What sets these archetypes apart from the classic hero story or a hidden one is what the story is trying to emphasize. In these stories, their chosen status is a lens for exploring how power, prophecy, or expectation can corrupt, destroy, or even isolate someone. Whereas hidden chosen ones gradually discover their roles and rise to meet it. These characters reveal the dark potential of being chosen, that destiny, no matter how grand, can become a curse. Not all chosen one stories are about heroism. Some are cautionary tales, exploring the heavy cost of prophecy and the burden of expectation, and there's a different side to the one we've all become accustomed to. So whether it's LeBron James, a kid from Akron, who carried the weight of a nation's expectations before he even stepped on the NBA court. Perseus, a hidden hero, whose destiny only revealed itself through trials and accident. The story of the chosen one continues to captivate us. Some are gifted from birth and molded by prophecy, rising to meet a destiny with courage. Some are hidden, who discover their significance through struggle and belief in themselves. And then there are those whose choices is a curse, whose powers isolates them, whose path is paved with tragedy. We watch these stories because they reflect the truth about ourselves. Whether ordinary or extraordinary, recognized or overlooked, our choices, our courage, our perseverance are what ultimately shapes the legacy we leave behind, and what it means to be the chosen one.